Alright then gang, so before we go any further, I just wanted to take a quick sidestep and let you know about an extension for Chrome and Firefox called React Developer Tools, and you can find it for Chrome on the Chrome store right here. Just click on the install button. Mine says remove because it's already installed, and you can also get it for Firefox by going to the Firefox add-ons library and installing it right here. So I'll leave the link to both of these pages down below so you can install whichever one you need. So what React Developer Tools do for us is integrate with the browser development tools and give us extra features that we can use on any website created with React. So if we take a look over here, we can see two extra tabs. We have Components and Profiler. Now the one I use the most is Components right here, and this basically gives us a component diagram or component tree of our current application. So if we just take a nosy at these things, if we hover over one of these different components, we get some extra information about that component down below. So this first one right here, this is to do with props. Now we've not covered props yet, so this isn't going to make much sense at the minute, so we'll move on for now. And down here we can see the source file. We also get some tabs over on the right as well, or rather icons. Now if we click on this one, this is to do with suspense, which is kind of beyond the scope of this tutorial. This one right here, we can click on this to find whatever DOM element this represents in the Elements tab. So if I click on this, then it grabs us this div with the class of app. And remember, that is the root element inside the app component right here. So it finds us that element. Now, if I did that for a different component, for example, the navbar, if I click on this, it grabs us the navbar, okay? Okay, so this one right here, this logs all of the data about the component to the console. So if I was to click on this, then go to the console, we can see all of this information about the app component, including any props, the DOM nodes, the location of the file, etc. So let's go back to components, and then finally this thing right here, we can view the source file, so the JavaScript file of this component in the DevTools as well. Okay, so if we click on the home component, this is going to be a bit more interesting because we have data inside the home component. Remember, we have this thing right here. We have these two pieces of state, and they change when we click on this button. So if I now come down here, we can see this property called hooks, and we have a state hook. Remember, this is a hook, use state. So it says we have a state for Luigi and one for this value 30. Now, if I was to click on this button, well, let's refresh first because they're not the initial values. I'm going to refresh and then click on home. We can see now this is the state, Mario and 25. If I click on this, we can see hopefully the state change down here as well. So this tracks whatever the state of this component is. So if we want to find that out quickly, we can do by going to this Components tab and looking at the hooks and the state. Okay, so what about if we click on this thing right here, log this component to the console. So if we click on that and then go to the console and expand this information, now we can see this property as well, hooks, and this is an array of data, each one an object, and each object represents the piece of state that we have. So we have right here the value Luigi, and each one has an ID as well, and it says whether the state is editable, which it is. We can change it if we want to. Awesome, so that's some extra information that we have about each component. So that's just a brief introduction to React DevTools. I did want to let you know about this tool, which can be really helpful when you're developing, testing, or debugging your React applications. Now, the best way to become familiar with this is to just dive in and play around with it. And maybe we'll be jumping in from time to time too, especially when we learn about props, so we can see this value right here.